Every part and component of the ETM RTR or Lite is replaceable if you biff it, or more exciting, upgradable. And today I want to go over the entire mod lineup, every single upgrade available for the ETM RTR, and give you my humble, see what I did there? That's the name of the channel. Give you my humble opinion as an owner's perspective. What are pretty much must-have upgrades that you should get immediately to get the most excitement and enjoyment from your pit bike, and where you can kind of skimp out a little bit, IMO, in my personal opinion. Now, keep in mind when we're looking at all these bits and bobs on the virtual shelves, well, they're physical shelves in their warehouse, but as we browse digitally, there is an exclusive discount for my audience, Humble5, down there in the description below. That applies to upgrade parts as well as whole bikes. So if you're going to pick up an RTR or RTR Lite, you could shave a couple of shekels off of the old purchase. And it supports the channel. I also get smacked in the shins with a tube sock full of nickels. So that's fun for me. So getting to the parts for the ETM RTR is incredibly easy. There is multiple paths to get to it. This is going to take you to the whole bike, but if you scroll down right here, mod parts available, it'll break it into 3 sections: your replacements if you broke something, your upgrades if you want to go faster, and then your essential replacements. So this is going to be routine maintenance items, things like brake pads, tires, brake levers are also in there because, you know, you have a little drop in the garage, snaps a lever, something like that, I guess. But you can also come over here to shop, and it'll drop down ETM RTR parts. It'll take you to this 3-way breakout. And on mobile, on cell phone, it's also very easy to get to the parts. A quick note, if you do have any kind of a special discount applied to your account, for example, Mil7, if you are active duty military or retired veteran, something along those lines, that does become permanently attached to your account. So you don't need to go through a verification process. Just one time, show them your special ID. So once you click upgrades, you will see that it spills out into 22 products. You have a lot of upgrades to go through. There are 2 modifications that I do recommend for every RTR, whether you got the heavy or the light. It's going to make your bike more efficient to where it's straining less. It's going to give you a little bit more pepper off the line. These 2, which go in conjunction, that is going to be the ultralight sprocket, which is about 1/3 of the weight of the steel dinner plate. And this chain, I understand this comes from a separate company that's partnered with Electro Co, so it's an upgrade, but I wish to the good Lord that this came standard or stock on every version, even the light, because the stock chain stretches tremendously, as it is a typical bicycle razor, skinny, necklace style, not like anything that should come on a pit bike with 8 kilowatts of power. This is back in stock. I have seen the universal go out of stock quite a few times. If you have a larger sprocket, you're going to go for the universal length, but if you are on the stock 12-inch tires, you can go for the stock ETM RTR length, and they do have a $5 price difference. These are going to be a lot more durable. They are not going to stretch nearly as much, thicker, and look like they kind of should be on the bike. Speaking of should be on the bike, I almost looped this into the must-have upgrades, but it's pretty expensive, and honestly, the stock motor at 8 kilowatts, if you have the heavy at 72 volts, it provides plenty of sauce. But why I really do recommend the high torque mod motor is that it is more efficient. It doesn't heat up as quickly, but it can also get hotter. So it takes longer to heat up and can get hotter, meaning you can run it for longer in a hot climate. And it says it right in the name, high torque. You do get heaps of low end torque. So if you felt like there was a little bit of a dead end in the first 1/4 inch of the throttle where you had to wring the neck of the goose to really take off, not no more, sweetheart. This almost feels like a nice razor tune on the low end. These 2 go in conjunction if you do get the high torque motor mod and you do want to get the full 30 Celsius higher thermal limit. You can send in your controller. Your bike is completely inoperable during this time frame. This is separated if you have the 6 kilowatt 60 volt controller or the 8 kilowatt 72 volt controller of the heavy over here. They should just start calling the OG the heavy. It says this is for racers, but also anybody that's in a hot climate and wants to run their bike wide open, maybe at a ride out or something. This might actually help you out a little bit in the long run. The battery upgrade over here. If you did get the heavy, the 72 volt 25 amp hour stalker is a plenty. I honestly believe you can skimp out on the battery upgrade upgrade, I did ask a plenty of questions to Electro Co via email, and they are incredibly responsive. Kevin, Trent, a couple other gentlemen, I believe, responded to me very quickly on the bullseye with the answers to every silly little question I had. And one of them was, do you get any additional power out of the upgrade battery, or is it really just range at the sacrifice of additional weight? Instead of 22 pounds with the stock battery, 30 pounds with the mod pack, 40 pounds with the touring pack, you're just getting a benefit of range, as the stock battery is a 72 volt. That was the answer I got. Hopefully I didn't get anybody in trouble over there at the factory, at the warehouse. But even if there was an ever so slight, let's say 5 to 10 percentile performance boost or upgrade with the upgraded battery pack, I would still say this is an upgrade that you should do last, because it is super expensive and the stock battery gets you plenty of range. It's a beast. It's an absolute beast. If you're a beast of a man or a woman, let's say you're about 5'9" or taller, or you like to do standing riding on your pit bike, I do recommend the high-rise bars. I had that modification delivered with the bike ready to run immediately. I did do about 60 to 80 miles on the low-rise bars to see what that be about, and the ergonomics were good. It was pretty upright for me as a 5'11 and a half, 180 pound guy. But with the high-rise bars, the ergonomics are much more better. You can replace the entire plastic set for $90. This is a very reasonable price. That's a trend that we're going to see throughout the day when it comes to replacement parts like the subframe if you bent that, or upgrade parts. Electro Co ain't trying to rip nobody off out here. Personal opinion, I think the white's the nicest looking color, but if you do have a darker color like black or red or gray, the gold forks look real nice on those colors. If I do get a second set of plastics, it'll be the mint over here. Oh God. They do have graphic kits. I personally am not a fan of any of these, but that is just my personal opinion. Throw it out the window if you do not like it. I do like that you do have two finishes available, gloss or holographic, although that is only on, it looks like these ones right here. You could also reach out to a seller on Etsy or some kind of a crafty craftsman to make you a custom graphic set as well. The Headlight Kit, do recommend it if you ride at night. It will put controls on the left handlebar, identical to the Razor kit that a lot of y'all have been running. Another perk or benefit is that underneath the seat, you will have a little strap or tie down for your toolkit. I think it's great that they included tools, but silly that there's no way to carry the tools. I invested in a little 3D printed thing off of eBay to put some granola bars, a portable air pump, and my toolkit in there, but you got a nice bright headlight, which is good for safety if you ride at night. The Wave rotors not only look cool, they are 60 bucks for a pair, but it also says that there's quieter braking performance. The brakes I don't think are very loud when I'm activating them, so that's never been a complaint, and I do actually prefer the look of the stalkers with the lightning bolts, so this is an upgrade I personally would never get. Ultralight sprocket, you should already bought that one. We covered that. Now we get into some fun stuff, and that is the meat and potatoes, or as I like to call it, the wheel and tire packages. You have two small boys and two big boys. The two small boys are the 12-inch Supermotos, which I think are a fantastic option if you ride primarily on the road and you want to lean over on that sidewall, maybe pop some wheelies on the pavement, and want less road noise and slower road wear. I personally don't like the mags. They are the heaviest set because they're spoked, and I don't like the way spoked wheels look. What I do like is that every single one of these includes the sprocket and the rotors, so it makes it very easy to hot swap between your wheel and tire sets because you don't have to swap the rotors and sprocket each time. Now with the big wheel kit, which is a larger dirt bike set of tires, and with the 14-inch street wheel kit, which I currently have installed on Betty White, they're both $350, and they are both heavier than the stock pit bike tires as they have more rotational mass. They're simply bigger, so braking force is going to be a little noticeably weaker. You're probably going to go from one finger on each lever to two if you're trying to really have the same braking force, and you will notice a little bit less acceleration. So that's a great time to upgrade to the high torque mod motor to compensate for the extra weight. When you get the big wheel and tire or the 14-inch street set, you do need to use the ultralight sprocket. I love that that's included. That's an upgrade for the small pit bike tire, but is included with the big boys. That must be used because it's already a heavier set. You don't want a steel sprocket on top of that, making it even heavier. Speaking of heavier, are you a little bit of a heavier rider? Nothing wrong with that. You could lose weight, or you could do something much easier and just replace the shock on your bike. OEM ride height, that's the one I recommend. Unless you're on some kind of a smooth pavement course, then you can get the race shock, which slams it about an inch. If you're a short rider and you're not flat-footed, that might be great for you. Speaking of a short person, a child, a kid, there's a shock for you. If you don't like the way the front forks feel, you can get them 25% stiffer or lighter for $50 with a set of fork springs. And there is a color shock upgrade, although looks like black is currently out of stock. The suspension out of the box on the Heavy is fantastic, as it does have adjustment clickers for compression and rebound. I got no complaints. And if you got the light and then you get some old ducats down the road, some Doja Cats, you can change out the suspension, that non-adjustable comfort tune, kind of soft dampen stock suspension for some of the good over here. As for the charger options, if you are someone that gets a nice session of riding in and then you go home and plug your bike in at the end of the day, kind of like you do your cell phone at night, then it really doesn't matter how fast your charger is charging, because it's going to be topped off and ready for you the next day, unless you accidentally didn't have the cable seated or something. But along those lines, they do have a $400 lightning charger. This has a proprietary plug that works with this style of bike. If you're someone that's starving for range usually, this is just my little crazy kookadoo theory, my rolling theory here. Instead of getting a lightning charger, you can get a replacement battery for, I think it's $850. Powertrain, electronics. Damn, you spend too much time on this website. Yeah, $850. She is in stock right now. And like I said, this battery, the stalker's great. You could have one of these on standby, charging in your garage, as you can charge this battery outside of the bike with the stock included slow trickle charger. It'll take about 4 hours to charge, but that's fine. You're out ripping with the other battery and this one's charging for you. That would be a cooler scenario in my mind than being able to plug in and have this thing sound like an Apache helicopter with the fans running. The TruMoto Mod Powertrain Kit. We're talking about 2 controller options coming in the near future. If you want to know as soon as this upgrade part is released, you can sign up for email alerts. You'll probably get some other emails, like some marketing stuff. That's okay. Electro Co released a video about 3 days ago. I watched it in its entirety a couple of times, suckling upon every word, soaking it up like a sponge or a chamois, whichever one's more absorbent. And the dude, the brethren, the man over there in the garage says that there's 2 options coming. There's the big one, which is the Noisy Cricket. That's such a cool name. It's like the Men in Black little pistol. Anyway, it's going to be the most pricey option. It's going to be the fastest at 14 kilowatts of peak power. That is not the option I personally am going to be opting for. But before that, there's going to be a more budget controller option called the Lil Bit, and that is going to give you double-digit power, 11 kilowatts of peak power, and control in a Bluetooth app of all 3 rider modes. So you can set things like how much regen brake and throttle responsiveness, and of course your power output. So very excited for that upgrade. And then after that, my build, Betty White, is going to be complete. Hopefully this is beneficial for you running through all of the upgrades. We're not quite done. This is just if you want to make your bike quicker. Replacement parts over here. They do have every single part or component down to the hardware, the nuts, the bolts, the shims, the chamois, the tubes. Everything's reasonably priced. I don't think they're really marking up most of these things. If you do break levers a lot, like you drop your bike all the time and you're snapping them, there's a company, I can't think of it, but I will pop up on screen here, that makes these flexible hard rubber levers that don't break. They just bend. Maybe look into those. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and I will see you to the comment section. Please tell me what your favorite upgrades for the ETM RTR are, like what your must-have, go-to with the bike kind of upgrades.